have addressed the personnel issues in this matter. Consistent with our priority to do the right thing for those that were harmed, we will be implementing a compensation program for those who lost loved ones who have suffered serious injuries as a result of the ignition switch failure. To that end, we have engaged Ken Feinberg to review options, and ultimately he will administer the compensation program. Again, with all of the changes we have implemented and are now undertaking, the job of correcting our mistakes is only the beginning. Strengthening our systems and adding resources are critically important steps to improving our company. But as positive as these steps are, they still aren't enough. To excel, to truly build the best auto company for customers, we have to change our behaviors as well. We have to personalize this challenge. Quality and safety aren't someone else's responsibility. They're mine, they're yours. We must all feel a personal responsibility to see that this company excels at every level. Together, we have to understand that the attitudes and practices that allowed this failure to occur in the first place will not be tolerated. And if we think that cleaning up this problem and making a few process changes will be enough, we are badly mistaken. Our job is to not just fix the problem. Our job must be to set a new industry standard for safety, quality, and excellence. To settle for anything less would be a profound error. So if you are aware of a potential problem affecting safety or quality and you don't speak up, you're part of the problem, and that is not acceptable. If you see a problem that you don't think and you don't believe it's being handled properly, elevate it to your supervisor. If you still don't believe it's being handled properly, contact me directly. I want an environment at GM where the customer is at the center of every action and decision we make. After all, we exist to serve their needs, not ours. We jointly own our successes and our failures, and we need to hold each other accountable. I know that every day, over 200,000 GM employees get up and go to work with a sincere commitment to do their very, very best. You and I both know that the vast majority of our colleagues care deeply about safety and quality and have the highest integrity. The simple truth is, each one of us has the power to make GM a better, more customer-focused company. It's time we unleash the full power of this great company. When I started at GM 33 years ago, I never expected to be CEO. And I certainly never expected to be in a situation like this. But I'm here, and you're here. And we have to be committed to leading in a way that brings honor and respect to this company. Even on a day as tough as this, I am proud and honored to work for General Motors. I know we have dedicated and talented team of employees that are loyal and honest. I know because of your efforts, our current vehicles are winning in the marketplace on safety, quality, and design. I know our dealers are proud to sell our vehicles, and they care deeply about providing excellent service to our customers. And I know suppliers work hard every day to provide the best components for our vehicles. And most important of all, I know, as do you, that our products enhance the lives of millions of people around the world every single day. As I prepared for today, I thought long and hard about this very difficult message.
We are listening to Mary Barra there. She's just wrapping up what was an address to her employees, but also to the world on the investigation, the results of a 3-month extensive investigation into the GM recall. I want to bring in Rana Faruhar now, who joins us on set. She's been listening in with me as well. quite extraordinary, really, Ronna, in tone and content. I want to talk about the tone in a minute because I think it's incredibly important. She apologized right out of the gate. It was interesting, very damning words at some point, saying this is a pattern of incompetence and neglect. I mean, right away, from a legal perspective already, you rarely hear a CEO come out and take that sort of responsibility.
Absolutely.
But in the end, when you listen to what she said, she damned the bureaucracy, but she did say no conspiracy, no employee made a conscious decision to trade off on safety and cost, and that there was no misdiagnosis. And I just want to mention, we can see she's walking up stage. She did just wrap officially. What did you make of it?
Well, I think that you just hit on the most important thing. There was not a trade-off, according to this report, between cost and safety. That's important. This wasn't about the financialization of a company. This wasn't necessarily about the MBAs taking over from the engineers. It was about siloing. It's about different departments not speaking to each other, not passing on critical information that ultimately she said, and she believes in her heart, she said could have prevented this problem.
Right, which is an extraordinary thing to come out and say. And let's bring it back to the tone. First woman CEO of a major car company. She takes the job. She's an insider at GM and finds herself in the middle of this recall, which a lot of people wondered if she actually knew about herself. From what she said in the investigation, it did not appear to go up to the senior level. She was very direct in taking responsibility as a company. There was no, from what I could see, attempt to hide behind the legalities, again, that we're used to hearing. And at one point, I was really struck by her tone saying, I don't want you to forget this. This is not a business problem we face.
Yeah, it's interesting because in a way, when Mary Barra took over this company, even before the scandal, we knew that she had a big job ahead of her. We knew that they had to totally overhaul their culture. Well, this scandal has brought that front and center. And it sounds like she's going to do that. I mean, one thing that really struck me was she said, if you see a problem, you tell your supervisor. If you feel it's not being dealt with properly, you contact me directly. You don't hear a CEO say that too often.
Yeah, no,
email me directly.
You don't. 350 interviews, 230 individuals, 41 million documents. They say that he had complete unlimited access.
Yeah.
I'm sure the lawyers are going to pick through this. This is going to be a huge legal issue. Is this an indication of what happens in very large companies? Because she came back to that over and over again. People not only didn't act, and there was incompetence. She said incompetence, but people didn't take leadership. They didn't move. They didn't talk. This is a company that at one point had, I forget how many brands, 20 brands under that huge GM logo.
That's right.
Is this an indictment? I mean, is this particular to the car industry, do you think? Or is this a larger issue with when you get so big that it's hard to manage?
I think there's certainly that. I think a lot of companies have silos. This is, in some ways, this is the biggest management issue of the moment, breaking down silos within organizations, many of which, car companies, technology companies, are dealing with problems that are so complex. There are so many divisions, so many moving parts, that you really do need to rethink systems. That said, GM and the car industry in general have been particularly bad. I mean, this is a company that in some cases had entirely different divisions working on the same problems that didn't know about each other. So it is an egregious example, but I think that this is something, particularly as we tease out the details, that's going to ripple across the entire auto industry and business in general.
And I want to just bring back one thing. What she did not talk about the fact that there may be more than 13 deaths.
Right.
Let's not be wooed by the public relations. It was a very strong statement. Did not talk about the amount of a compensation fund. Did not talk about the fact that, as Poppy mentioned, only people in the front seat are being covered. There were things that were left out of this address.
Yeah, and also did not talk about why they settled certain cases out of court privately before this happened. It'll be interesting to see whether those are in the report, whether those details are actually touched on, but I think those are questions that are going to keep coming up and she'll have to answer them eventually.
And why, and how they handled some of the families. The fact that some people were not even aware that they were a subject of an internal investigation when they settled with GM. All right, Ronna, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a lot more on GM a little bit later when we come back and throughout the day. But over in Europe, the ECB can't ignore the calls for actions. Interest rates are down, and there could be another move to boost the economy on the horizon. We'll hear from ECB Chief Mario Draghi in just a moment.